Marine reacts to SCP-999, also known as the Tickle monster, and its object class safe, and it's considered an amorphous SCP by TheVolgun. As always, I'm going to be leaving a link to the original video and channel down in the description below, so go ahead and make sure that you check them out. Now, I've been hearing a little bit about SCP-999 from some of the other videos, that it's supposed to be, I believe it had some relation to the Seven Wives and to the Scarlet King, and that this is supposed to be the hero. And I really kind of know that it's supposed to give you like this very feel-good feeling, and that it'll actually protect you. That's pretty much the basis of what I know from the other videos. So let's go ahead and get right into this one. But before we do, don't forget to like, subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. Hit that notification bell right there, so you get notified every time I do upload. Sometimes I upload twice a day. Now I'm working on them in the evenings, and then releasing them early the next day. That way when you all wake up, you guys have a fresh video first thing in the morning. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see what SCP-999, or the Tickle monster, is all about.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-999. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-999 is allowed to freely roam the facility should it desire to, but otherwise must stay in its pen either between 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. for sleeping, or during emergency lockdowns for its own safety. Subject is not allowed out of its pen at night or off facility grounds at any time. Pen is to be kept clean and food replaced twice daily. All personnel are allowed inside SCP-999's holding area, but only if they are not assigned to other tasks at the time, or if they are on a break. Subject is to be played with when bored and spoken to in a calm, non-threatening tone.
Alright, so before he gets into the description, just look at him, man. Okay, so 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. for sleeping and or emergency lockdowns. Makes sense. Freely roaming. Honestly, from what I've heard before and from what I've heard kind of just right now, and as far as it being played with when it's bored, it kind of reminds me of a dog. Like a dog just being like very happy, smiley, and spoken in a calm, non-threatening tone. I felt like they tagged that on there for a purpose. Because, I mean, obviously what would happen if you did? Which, even then, if this SCP is supposed to make you feel good, I doubt you would even do that. I mean, and I also don't know if it's like a radius type deal, or if it has to like touch you. Let's go ahead and keep going.
Description: SCP-999 appears to be a large, amorphous, gelatinous mass of translucent orange slime, weighing about 54 kilograms with a consistency similar to that of peanut butter. Subject's size and shape is easily malleable and can change shape at will, though when at rest, SCP-999 becomes a rounded, oblate dome roughly 2 meters wide and 1 meter in height. The surface of SCP-999 consists of a thin, transparent membrane similar to that of an animal's cell, roughly 0.5 centimeters thick, and is highly elastic, allowing SCP-999 to flatten portions of its body up to 2 centimeters thin. This surface is also hydrophobic, although SCP-999 can willfully absorb liquids. See Addendum 999-A. The rest of SCP-999's body is filled with a viscous orange substance of unknown chemical makeup, though it is capable of digesting organic materials with ease.
As far as it being malleable, you can change shape at will. Now, does that include or entail that it can like shapeshift into people or other things? Or is it just that you can like, I guess like Play-Doh, right? I'd be curious to know how it's digesting or digestive system, if that's what it is, or that's what it's called for it, how it actually works. Because, I mean, I assume he's got to poop then, right?
Subject's temperament is best described as playful and dog-like. When approached, SCP-999 will often react with overwhelming elation, slithering over to the nearest person and leaping upon them, hugging them with a pair of pseudopods while nuzzling the person's face with a third pseudopod, all the while emitting high-pitched gurgling and cooing noises. The surface of SCP-999 emits a pleasing odor that differs with whomever it is interacting with. Recorded scents include chocolate, fresh laundry, bacon, roses, and Play-Doh. Simply touching SCP-999's surface causes an immediate mild euphoria, which intensifies the longer one is exposed to SCP-999 and lasts long after separation from the creature. Subject's favorite activity is tickle wrestling, often by completely enveloping a person from the neck down and tickling them until asked to stop, though it does not always immediately comply with this request. Though injuries may occur, SCP-999 has never been found to purposefully attempt to harm others, and will immediately back away and contract its body into a quivering mound while gurgling in a similar manner to a whimpering dog, seemingly apologizing for hurting someone on accident.
That's also the type of thing where it's like, I don't know if you've ever been around a dog and you accidentally step on his paw, and it's like you can't really begin to even explain how sorry you are, and the dog can't even understand you. Now, as far as injuries goes, specifically talking about itself, not accidents that it might accidentally cause to other people, but can it like heal? Because I would assume gelatinous, it couldn't really get hurt, and even if it did, it would just like close up again. Like say if he got shot, it would just close up. I have also seen in some of the my recommendations that they've actually interacted, like, you know how when they have like versus SCPs, that they've actually had this SCP, I think, interact with one of them. I think one of them was the Plague Doctor. One of them may have been 682. And, I mean, obviously I don't know what would happen in those scenarios because I haven't seen those yet. But, I mean, I guess my initial thoughts is that it would chill them out, so to speak. Or if it could even do that.
While the creature will interact with anyone, it seems to have a special interest in those who are unhappy or hurt in any way. Persons suffering from crippling depression or PTSD, for example, have reported having a far more positive outlook on life after multiple interactions with SCP-999. The possibility of manufacturing antidepressants from SCP-999's slime is currently being discussed. In addition to its playful behavior, SCP-999 seems to love all animals, especially humans, refusing to eat any meat and even risking its own life to save others. On one occasion, leaping in front of a person to take a bullet fired at them. Subject's intellect is still up for debate. Though its behavior is infantile, it seems to understand human speech and most modern technology, including guns. SCP-999's diet consists entirely of candy and sweets, with M&Ms and Necco wafers being its favorites. Its eating methods are similar to those of an amoeba. Addendum: SCP-999-A. Reminder to all staff. SCP-999 is not to consume caffeinated soft drinks of any kind. Last week, someone gave SCP-999 a can of cola along with its usual breakfast. Not only was it literally bouncing off the walls for half an hour, the carbonation made SCP-999 visibly queasy afterwards, and it refused to move or eat the rest of the day. SCP-999 has thankfully recovered since, but the staff member in question has been reprimanded. Dr. Addendum: SCP-999-B. The following is a report from an experiment in which SCP-682 is exposed to SCP-999 in the hopes that it will curb the creature's omnicidal rage.
SCP-999 is released into SCP-682's containment area. SCP-999 immediately slithers towards SCP-682. SCP-999 moves in front of SCP-682, jumping up and down in a dog-like manner while calling out in a high-pitched squealing noise. SCP-682 immediately steps on SCP-999, completely flattening SCP-999. Observers were about to abort the experiment when SCP-682 started talking again. SCP-999 can be seen crawling up from between SCP-682's toes, up along its side and around its neck, where it clings on and begins gently nuzzling with its pseudopod. A wide grin slowly spreads across SCP-682's face. SCP-682 repeats the word happy for several minutes, laughing occasionally before escalating into non-stop laughter. As laughter continues, SCP-682 rolls around on its back, slamming its tail upon the floor with dangerous force.
Okay, so this is definitely 682, not the 682 that we seem to know. I mean, obviously, because of 999. Now, if this is the case, I'm assuming SCP-999 would be very crucial, or is very crucial, into containing specific SCPs, or at least retrieving them if they do break containment. And because it was drawn to 682, and this is just a far-fetched kind of theory, is that saying that it's true that 682 is actually depressed? I mean, obviously, maybe because it's in containment, it can't do what it wants to do, which is kill all sentient beings. But I wonder if there's any SCP, though, that has rejected 999 and maybe actually frightened it that to the point that it didn't even want to be near them.
SCP-682 and SCP-999 continue the Tickle fight until SCP-682 finally wears down and appears to fall asleep with what would appear to be a smile on its face. After 15 minutes with no activity, 2 D-Class personnel enter the room to retrieve SCP-999. When SCP-999 is removed, SCP-682 immediately wakes up and unleashes an unidentifiable wave of energy from its body, all the while laughing manically. All persons within the wave's range collapse into crippling fits of laughter, allowing SCP-682 to escape and slaughter all in its path. Meanwhile, SCP-999 quickly rescues as many persons as it can, taking them to a safe place to recover from SCP-682's laughter wave, while agents suppress and recontain SCP-682.
So even with that, it was able to adapt to it and create this wave.
Despite the tragedy that SCP-682 had brought upon the facility, SCP-999 has not shown any fear towards the creature, and in fact has made gestures suggesting it wants to play with SCP-682 again. 682, however, has stated that feculent little can die.
Memo from Dr. While the test was unsuccessful and ended in tragedy, that had to be the funniest thing I have ever seen. I never thought I'd see the day when I would regard SCP-682 as cute. Please send me a copy of the security tapes as soon as possible. I'm just gonna end this lecture with a piece of advice. Don't try and use 999 as some kind of therapy. It doesn't work, and you just end up getting banned from its pen. It happened to my friend. Turns out something that eats M&Ms and Necco wafers doesn't really taste that good when it's coming in. or feel that good when it's coming out. I know. Too much information. Sorry, it's been a long week. Anyway, thank you for listening, if indeed you still are, and you are all dismissed. Goodbye.
Alright, let's go ahead and talk about that for a minute. This is one of those SCPs where it's pretty much straightforward. Didn't really have a whole lot to say on it, even during the video. Now, as far as it, I would be curious to see how it interacts with SCP-049 or the Plague Doctor. Kind of see what goes on there. See if he actually... I don't know. I mean, just to see what happens. I mean, we saw what happened with 682. We saw 682 in the light that we didn't, or at least at the very minimum, I would have never expected to see him in. Smiling, laughing, talking about tickling. Now, as far as it may seem, this SCP has the potential, at least in my opinion, to have quite a bit of power, because it literally got squashed. Obviously, nothing happened to it, and it was still able to not overpower, but overcome at least 682's natural disposition to anything in general. I was really hoping also, just real quick, that they probably would have gone into like, how is this going to relate to the Scarlet King or the 7 Wives that I'd heard some mention about, that this was supposed to be the hero, and that it's still an infant, and I don't know if this is one of those instances where it's going to take like a long time for him to grow up, or if it even is a he or she, and how long it's going to take them to grow up, be mature, and actually get this fight going, I guess. I guess that's just going to have to be somewhere else. I mean, it probably deals with another SP where they actually explain it, but I didn't see it here. And also, there's just something about this SCP. A little smile, a little big eyes. But that's going to go ahead and do it for this video, though. Don't forget to like, subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. Hit that dislike button if you didn't like it. It helps me improve the channel. If you're curious to see what's coming up next, check the description down below. You're going to see a list of about 5 videos. Top to bottom is going to be how I view them. Until then, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.